Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm here with Alissa Xander. Hi, Alissa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I want to just jump right in. I'm so interested in this whole holistic wellness angle that you have. I mean, I feel like today more than ever, we need to find other solutions for our health beyond just, taking that pill. I mean, what do you think is going on with, especially women's health, right?
Well, exactly. And I'm glad you said that because I think for a lot of people, it is that what's that pill that I can take? What's the quick fix? And so that's really what I focus on is how can you be healthy as a whole without taking that pill, which, even though it's doing that one thing that you think is great, what else is it doing to your body? Because you always hear that list of, the things to watch out for.
I'm always struck by those commercials, it'll have the people dancing or holding the balloons or having a picnic and everything looks all great. And then the second half of the commercial may cause, heart failure, may cause paralysis. It's like all these horrible things, but in this really pleasant voice. And I think, oh my God, if we even actually were listening, we would be like, hell no, I'm not bringing that into my body. I mean, I'm even seeing stuff going on with the whole eye drop thing right now. I don't know if they've recalled 37 eye drops. I mean, who would have
Oh my
thought?
goodness. Yeah, for sure. And I actually had a friend who had a problem with eye drops. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel like there's just things that, we need to look at the bigger picture. So what are your some of your strategies, especially for women's health?
Well, for women's health, and it's funny that you mentioned the thing because I heard one recently about hot flashes, and it actually said it may cause hot flashes, which I thought was hilarious. But for things like women's health, whether it's, menopause, premenopause, post, there are a lot of things that we can do naturally as far as looking at the foods that we eat, because one of my areas of focus is Ayurveda, and we look at the things that you eat. And surprisingly or not, hot foods can give you hot flashes. And when I mean hot, it's like anything spicy, even cinnamon or black pepper or garlic, those things could cause a hot flash. So a lot of times we ignore that side of it and we just, I want to eat what I want to eat, not realizing that we could actually be, taking ourselves down the path of, any of those things, whether it's hot flashes or headaches or upset stomachs, aches and pains, but we can contribute to it, and we can also prevent or make it better by the things that we eat and our other activities as well.
I think a lot of women entrepreneurs, we're busy, we're committed to growing our businesses. We have families, we have all kinds of commitments. And sometimes, our personal health may not be a priority. We always take for granted that it's going to be there and that we can pick it up and start working on it tomorrow. Do you have some strategies so we can bring that to the forefront?
Well, really, I think it comes down to planning and having a strategy. So it's almost like having an if-then strategy for a lot of things. Whereas if I get in this situation, like if I'm in an airport and I'm traveling, well, what do I do then as far as my food choice? Or backing it up even a little bit more, one of the simplest things that we can do is start the week with a meal plan. Like sit down with your partner or your kids or whoever you share the week with and figure out what are we going to have, and write it on a piece of paper. So at those moments when everybody's rushing around and you don't know what to do, you have an idea. And I always tell my clients, it's not, in concrete or in stone. If you want, you have the flexibility to change it, but it really helps to have a starting point. So then when you're at the end of your day and you have decision fatigue and, you're ready to reach for the phone or, to order something, you have an idea and you can maybe make a healthier choice. Because when you had a little bit more space in your day and you felt a little less stressed, you made another decision for yourself.
You are listening to the Big Meow podcast, empowering women entrepreneurs to share their voices, make an impact, and transform the world in a positive way. Sponsored by Orange Cat Content Marketing Agency.
You know, it's interesting because I used to live in much more inside the city. And then a couple years ago, I moved out. I live in Santa Fe, so I'm kind of outside. So to actually go into town to go to a restaurant, it's about a 30-minute drive. And you're right. There's a lot more planning. I have to sit there and think, okay, what am I going to have in the house? What am I bringing in for the week? And I've noticed that, you know, my meal planning, the healthy foods that I eat has gotten a lot easier just by just the sheer inconvenience of having to go out. Whereas when I lived closer in a city and, you know, every restaurant was like 2 minutes away, it was a lot easier to just say, oh, yeah, I'm tired tonight. Let's just go over here. You know, it's happy hour or whatever. And, yeah, and I think that sometimes that then it feeds the fatigue. It feeds because you don't have the right kind of nutrients and fuel, and you know, or you're just not at your optimum.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And you know what? And a lot of times we spend that time, you know, traveling to the restaurant. Like you said, now you're 30 minutes away. You could have been, you know, as much as it might not sound as fun, cutting vegetables or getting everything ready in a pot, you know, you could have been using that time. And when we make it ourselves, we tend to have a little more attention on what goes into it than when somebody else makes it for us.
Yeah, I've noticed it tastes a lot better. I don't know. I'm really lucky. My husband loves to cook, so he's amazing. He makes the best stuff. But so what about, let's shift gears, you know, women's healthcare. It just seems like really, I guess after you have that baby, they don't really care that much about you unless you're really sick. You know, it's kind of like there's this whole span of time. I would say between about 30 and your mid 50s where there's not really a lot of attention or support for women and their health. Do you have some thoughts about that or ideas?
Well, as far, you know, or do you mean as far as the industry or how we can help women?
How you help women?
Well, my big thing is one, treating each client like an individual, because we're all so different, and
Right.
really figuring out what it takes to make you be in balance versus me, because each of us has, you know, our own unique, what we call in Ayurveda a dosha. So it's your body type. And I mentioned before how certain foods can take us in and out of balance. So in Ayurveda, I don't know if you know what Ayurveda is. It's the sister science to yoga. Oh, cool. So in it, we learn, you know, that something that is really good for you and puts you in balance might take me out of balance. So it's learning what helps each woman to go in or out of balance and to customize it to them. Because again, it's not like, you know, a pill or a one size fits all with any of it, especially healthcare.
No, absolutely. So talk to me about, you know, you're an entrepreneur in holistic health. Like, what's a challenge you've had in your business and how did you resolve it?
Well, I think a challenge that I've had is really, you know, in being visible and, you know, knowing that there are days I don't want to put on the makeup and, you know, do a Facebook Live or, you know, get out in front of people. But sometimes it's just the doing. It's sounds so simple, but whether it's working out or being an entrepreneur or anything else that we have that's a goal in our lives, it's really just, you know, putting your feet to the fire and saying, if this is important to me, I'm going to do it.
I love that. I think that's a really good point. Is like, you do have to do it. It's like, I think that we all default to the stuff that's easy for us. It's like, oh, that's easy. I'm doing something, but I'm going to do the easy something. And maybe sometimes just to make a commitment to do the more, not that it's harder, but it's just not as natural, you know, especially things like doing lives if you're a little bit of an introvert, or, you know what I mean? Just getting out there and sharing your voice. What's some plans that you have coming up for the future? You're frozen.
Well, in the near future, I'm doing a special master class called Rethinking for healthier holiday season. Women with the holidays struggle with worrying about unwanted pounds or the, you know, gatherings and festivities. And I think my internet might be a little unstable. So
yeah, it kind of it's fuzzing out a little bit. Well, why don't you, before I don't want to lose you, why don't you tell us where we can find you?
So you can find me at my website, which is allissaxander.com. I can spell it for you, but I think you have it for the notes.
All right,
Okay,
Alissa,
great.
thank you
And-
so much for being a guest on the Big Meow.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It was great spending the time with you, Kristen.
Are you looking for authentic connections, business mentorship, and a supportive community? Join C.A.T.S Network. Thank you for listening to the Big Meow podcast. Please subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with your community.